to go.
Cool!
Testing 1 2 3. This is a test. Testing 1 2 3. This is a test. Testing. How am I sounding? Alright, let's make sure everything is good. Seems like the general layout looks okay. Audio looks good. Yo boy, made it. Is your voice alright? And yeah, I just turned on my mic. Let me know how audio sounds. Is my audio clear, James? Alright, yeah, it sounds like it's clear. Alright, cool. Good. Alright, so now let me go ahead and do that intro. Hey everyone, it's 𝗧𝗀𝗃𝗃, and welcome back to part 2 of our last stream, which was the Nintendo Switch era retrospective. Basically, quick summary for what the deal with the last stream was, is that basically, this is my stream where we're basically looking back over the Nintendo Switch era, the various games that released during it, and going over what I think were some of the best games, some games that I played but I didn't exactly think highly of, and then some games that we're not really gonna talk about in a favorable light, to put it lightly. So yeah, that's pretty much the general summary. I guess what I'll ask before we start getting into the actual games is, how have y'all been doing? We're getting closer to that Nintendo Switch 2 Direct, y'all, but besides that, I want to know what y'all been up to. In terms of what I've been up to, really, literally nothing. I'm literally just waiting for the Switch 2 Direct at this point. Like, I have nothing really that big going on. I've decided that maybe it's for the best I sideline some of my bigger projects for now, and just kind of wait it out for this Direct, man. It's like the big thing I'm just thinking about waiting for. And yeah, there are all sorts of rumors going on about the price, and I told y'all it's probably gonna be around 400. That seems like what the price is gonna be like. It's gonna be around that range, which makes sense because like a lot of the current Switches, OLED included, are around the 300 to 350 range. So obviously this is gonna be higher than those. If the original Switch is around those ranges, then the Switch 2 is obviously gonna be higher, and I figured it's probably gonna be 400. Now, I just pray that it doesn't go above 400, because like I think the only way I'd accept it going above 400 is if we like have a bundle. Like, say for example we got like a 450 bundle where you can get the new Mario Kart with it. That'll still be hard to swallow, but like at least you'll get like a game with it or something. But if like straight up the base entry for just buying the basic system is like 450 or even 500, they have generally lost their minds. They have actually lost their minds if that's the case. But we'll just have to wait and see. I'm not gonna rule it out. But yeah, let me get my little thing here ready, which will allow me to put the games up easily, and then we can go ahead and get the ball rolling on the game talk, which is like the main thing about this stream. So where were we last time? So last time we covered 2017, 2018, 2019, and 2020. And overall, I would summarize the first 4 years of Nintendo Switch to where I think the first 3 years, 2017, 2018, 2019, while they had some dry periods and you could tell they were relying on Wii U ports sometimes, I'd say that overall the those first 3 years were pretty solid and were just a great comeback for Nintendo. But then we get into 2020, which is a year that was not good for really anyone. Although technically Nintendo did thrive that year because Animal Crossing. But yeah, it wasn't exactly the best year if you didn't care about Animal Crossing. So yeah, coming out of the ashes of the madness that was 2020, it was really weird with what was going on with Nintendo. Like, a lot of people were wondering how do we feel about Nintendo? Like, have Nintendo fallen off? Are they like in this really bad spell that they're not going to be able to recover from? And getting into 2021, that was the major concern. Like, was Nintendo going to be able to get it together? And I'll tell you one thing, they gave us a very direct answer, because one of the games that they released this freaking year, where is it? Here we go. I'll tell you what, they had a very direct answer for us, because one of the games they released this year was literally a game called WarioWare Get It Together. They had a very direct answer for us on that. It's like, will Nintendo get it together? And Nintendo was like, get it together? That sounds like a great idea. So yeah, I just wanted to make that joke real quick, because I realized that. But what are my thoughts on this game? I have a weird relationship with the WarioWare games. With the WarioWare games, I haven't played like every single one, but I played a handful of them. And then the ones that I have played are fun. I think they're really cool. I like how Warrior has his own cast of characters, basically. Like, he literally has his own friend group that's separate from Mario and Co. He has like as many friends, if not possibly more friends, than freaking Kirby, and it's the most hilarious thing. Like, look at all these goobers. Like, bro, Warrior, how did you befriend so many people? You were literally like the most greedy person ever, and you have so many friends by this point. I will never understand. And yeah, the series has a lot of cool characters. Mona, Jimmy T, Ashley, 9V, Dr. Krygor, Penny, the twins Anna, and what's the other one's name? Cat? Is it Cat and Anna? Or is it something else? But yeah, all sorts of quirky characters from this series. And the reason why I like Get It Together specifically is I think that game really does show off the WarioWare cast to their fullest, because all of them are playable. They all have their unique abilities, and all the micro games are themed around them. Now, this does kind of hurt the game though, because some characters are better than others. I'm looking at you, 9V, with your dumb skateboard mechanic where you literally cannot stop moving, and you're horrid to use. Like, and it sucks because he's like one of the best WarioWare characters, because a lot of his micro games tend to be themed around Nintendo, and like his micro games are filled with Nintendo references. But then you play as him, and it's pain and suffering in this game. But other than that, I think the Get It Together was a neat thing. And yeah, James, it is crazy how none of them have appeared in the main Mario series, bro. The synergy between the grander Mario universe is a whole weird thing I could rant about for hours on end. Oh yeah, another fun detail about this game, so the final boss of this game, they decided to do something really funny and make the final boss of this game, this is spoilers for this game, but I doubt too many people are going to be trying to play this game, but like, the final boss for this game is freaking 𝗃𝗀𝗀. The dang bird that's from like some of the previous WarioWare games and has his own little micro game called Bird and Bean or something like that. 𝗃𝗀𝗀, this red bird, would be the final boss of this game. And he'd be a bit of a meme for a bit, because a certain someone on a certain few websites would use this character for their identity, and 𝗃𝗀𝗀 would end up becoming a very infamous name in the Nintendo community. Let's just put it that way. Oh my goodness, like the way 𝗃𝗀𝗀 became so infamous is hilarious. But yeah, that's pretty much all I've got to say about WarioWare Get It Together. It's a fun game. It's an okay game. I wasn't going into it expecting the most, since it's a WarioWare game. And I still don't think it's exactly an amazing game, but I think it was fun. Alright, what's next? Next up is a big one. Ooh boy, here we go. So this is going to be a real interesting one we're going to talk about right here. 3D World plus Bowser's Fury. Man, oh man, do I have some words for this one. So this is an interesting game because it's like this game, when it was first revealed, it was like, oh, well, duh, they're going to do a 3D World port because 3D World is one of the most successful and beloved Wii U games, so of course it's eventually going to get a port to Switch. Everyone and their mom knew 3D World was going to get a port. But the trailer that first revealed this port with Bowser's Fury was so ominous. It was like, what in the heck is a Bowser's Fury? We had no idea what we were in for with that specific mode. Like, I thought it was going to be maybe a new world and that would be it. Like, would we be playing as Bowser? Would Bowser get like some weird new cat form? I'm sure it's not going to be something too crazy. The trailer comes for Bowser's Fury, and it blew my mind. You see Bowser Jr. casually beside Mario. It's like, huh? Why is Bowser Jr. working with Mario? Then you see Bowser transform into that. And it's like, what? What the heck happened? What happened to you, Bowser? Why are you an absolute menace? Like, oh my goodness. I still remember when I woke up and saw that trailer and I was just stunned at what I was seeing on screen. Genuinely insane what they were cooking with that one. But yeah, how do I feel with this port? Overall, I think this was a solid port. I like how they added online. I think adding online was a great thing for the game. And then when it comes to, and they also added some Odyssey moves too, and added stickers and all sorts of stuff. They added all sorts of small changes. Although the one thing I really do hate about 3D World is I felt like they could have done a bit more. Like, I feel like they could have added some extra levels and maybe given us 1 or 2 characters. Like, y'all remember those Furies? Those Furies that we were gonna get an extra playable character with Toadette, since she was in Mario Maker 2 and had the cat power up there. And then the very infamous one, Daisy. Man, pain, bro, pain. But yeah, besides that, the 3D World port was solid, but the real star of the show here was the freaking Bowser's Fury mode, because oh my goodness, was that a really fun game. It was a short game, so it was like a sub game. It was about as long as an average freaking sub game in Kirby Superstar, but it was so much fun. Fury Bowser was absolutely menacing. Having Bowser Jr. as a partner was really cool. The environments felt pretty fun to explore. The music was like goes unnecessarily hard for that mode for no absolute reason. And if they held off on Captain Toad, they could have done an entire trilogy in one game cartridge. Yeah, that could have been a fire idea, James. Like, have like Captain Toad, 3D World, and then Bowser's Fury, and make that like a trilogy. That would go crazy. But no way Nintendo would ever like because all those games have a lot of substance. Combining them all would be way too much value to not have that as a $60 game. Nintendo is greedy. But yeah, bundling all that would have just made this like an S+ tier game, if so. I already kind of see this as like one of the best deals on Switch, because not only do you get one of the best Mario games, but you get this amazing side mode. Like, even Captain Toad is pretty solid. Not like A or S tier like I would rank these two, but that's a B. So that would be cool. But yeah, Bowser's Fury was a very cool thing. And a lot of people talk about how it could lead to hints to the future of Mario, and I think there's some weight to that. Although I do hope they still keep a lot of the things that Odyssey would set up, for sure. Bowser's Fury was so good where Sega took notes. Yeah, yeah. Honorable mention to Sonic X Shadow Generations. I'm probably not gonna bring it up in full, but I will shout out that game right now, because I originally played it on PC, but I do have a Switch version. But yeah. Alright, what's next on my list here for 2021? Ooh, this is one I should just get this out the way because I pretty much have not much to say with this one. Let's see. I'm gonna go ahead and put it on screen. Mario Party Superstars. Now, I'm gonna go ahead and say that I do not have much to say about this game. Maybe you do, James. I don't know if you bought this game or not, but I don't have much to say with this one because I did an entire review video on this game. A video that not many people watched, but a video that exists nonetheless. So if you want to know my full thoughts on this game, go watch that video. Basically, I think this is the game that truly saved the Mario Party series. Everyone gives credit to Super Mario Party, and it's true that game did bring back the basic gameplay, but as I explained in the last stream, Super Mario Party was very flawed because of a lack of content. This game has a much better variety with its content and with just its general polish because of how much more it leans into the traditional Mario Party formula. But what keeps it from being like an A or even S tier game, I would say, is that it does still feel like it could have a little more content. And I feel like if this game had gotten DLC, bro, it would have been perfect. It would have been so great. But no, they abandoned this game and pretty much just moved on to the next Mario Party game, which is very sad. This game could have been such a great template to just add more content to. Like, honestly, I think Mario Party doesn't need to have like 3 to 4 installments per system. They could have like 2, and they should just support those 2 Mario Party games with like a lot of updates. I really don't think Mario Party needs to have like 3 to 4 games per system, but they do it because they sell. they make so much freaking money. But yeah, not much more I have to say on Mario Party Superstars. I think it's a good game. It doesn't have as much value. It does still have those classic boards, and it does still have a lot of mini games. Like this game, it's basically Mario Party the top 100 done right. That's how I describe this game. But yeah, that's pretty much all I gotta say about it. Oh yeah, and also it also gets a shout out for having actually good online. Thank you very much. Alright, what is next? There's a few games I'm trying to like dodge. I'm trying to avoid bringing up yet, because I'm gonna have some words to say about them. I'm trying to get through the more simple games to where my thoughts are gonna be pretty cut and clear. Alright, Mario Golf Super Rush. Here we go. It's time for another one of these sports games, another one of these infamous games that get absolutely decimated by the average Nintendo Switch fan. And how do I feel with this particular game? Unlike with Mario Tennis Aces, so with Mario Tennis Aces in the last stream, I stuck up for that game a lot. You know, I feel like once all the updates finished, I feel like it ended up being a very worthwhile Mario spin-off, even though I do still feel like it lacked content in certain places, and it could have done some things to be more interesting. With Mario Golf Super Rush, my thoughts on this one are a lot more complicated. Because here's the thing, I like the gameplay upgrades that this game has. Like the way that they upgraded the gameplay in this game and the way that you can run down the golf course with your character, I actually think that's super fun. Some people say that that's not fun at all and it's kind of dumb. But I think it's kind of cool. I think it's an interesting way to spice up the formula, because if you ask me, I always did think golf was one of the more boring of the Mario Sports series anyway. Like, I feel like it needed something to give it a little more spice, and I think this wasn't a bad way to spice it up. And yeah, James, Pauline and her golf. Yeah, the alternate outfits in the Switch era sports games were just on point. They were just on point. Yeah, especially with Pauline here, yeah. But once again, this game did suffer from the free update model, and when it launched, ooh, baby, was it barren. Was it a barren game? It was worse than Tennis Aces. And unlike with Tennis Aces, where I feel like once all the updates finished, it made it feel more worthwhile, with this game, I don't think the updates justified the game being $60 still, because it still felt like this game could have done so many more cooler things with its setup. Like, for example, one of the DLC tracks is New Donk City. You can golf in New Donk City, which I thought was the funniest thing ever. Like, the idea that Mario & Co. are playing golf and, like, shooting golf balls through people's windows is the most hilarious thing ever. The problem is, that's, like, the most interesting new course in the game. Aside from, like, the arena courses where you have, like, the battle golf and stuff like that, all the other courses are so generic and basic. Just a basic grass golf course, a basic desert golf course. Like, they could have done so many more cool courses, like, based on more Odyssey areas. Like, imagine getting the golf in a freaking Bowser's Kingdom from Odyssey. That would have gone crazy. But because it's just so basic with the courses it did have, and even, like, the story mode compared to Tennis Aces, I think was also very boring. Like, I just think this game lacked a little more sauce than Tennis Aces did. And, oh, I see a bot. Ignore the bot, please. It's just a dumb bot being a dumb bot. I'm gonna let it slide, but if it tries to post more, it's best to believe it's getting that bad treatment. But yeah. I do not have much more to say on Golf Super Rush. It's a game that I don't think is as bad as other people say, but I also struggle to really bring up any other points to, like, defend it, because, like, what is there to really defend here? It's golf. Yeah, I feel like you get what you want out of this game if you know what you're getting into. Shouldn't be $60, but it's an okay Mario game. Alright, what's next up on the list? Ooh, alright, so now we're at our big ones. There is one minor game I'm going to bring up. A minor game that I'm going to bring up is this bad boy right here, which is Skyward Sword HD. And I don't have too much to say about this one because I haven't played it, but I will say that it is very interesting that they finally did this, considering all the rumors and speculation and how much people really wanted this game. But gosh dang it, Nintendo, you and your pricing, bro. You got to get it together on that, because a lot of people were debating whether this was worth $60 or not, and it was just like a whole controversy that just continued that negative energy from 2020. Like, dang it, Nintendo. That's all I remember about this game almost, but maybe one day I'll play it and see how I feel with this game. And yeah, people, for some reason, this one specifically got people, like, real mad, James. I don't know what it was. I don't know what it was about this one in particular that got people mad. I don't remember what it was. I think people were just tired of Nintendo and their pricing overall, which is fair. But I don't know why it was this specific game that, like, made people extra mad. I don't know what it was. I think it's just because it's Zelda. Zelda fans get, like, really passionate about how they feel with these games. And so, like, when this one especially got announced, some people were just not happy. And that's fine if you don't if you feel like the price isn't worth it. Like, just don't buy it, man. Don't buy it. Don't encourage them to, like, price stuff like this. But yeah, that's all I gotta say on Skyward Sword HD. Very interesting thing there. But now, it's time, y'all. It's time for another big one. We're coming up on two big ones. So we got two big ones to wrap it up, 2021 here. And first up, we're going to get to the good one. And then we're going to get to the negative one to close it out. So here we go. Here it is. Metroid Dread. Oh my goodness. This game is a pipe dream. It is a pipe dream that this game even exists. James, you're killing me here. But yeah. So Metroid Dread is so fascinating to me because if you don't know the story of Metroid Dread is Metroid 5. It's a game that has technically been in development since the early DS era. Like, this was a game that was supposed to be the sequel to Fusion. It was planned for the DS, but apparently the Metroid director, he didn't think that the DS was capable of giving them the experience that Metroid Dread, that he wanted Metroid Dread to be, so he was like, nah, we're canceling that. And that led to the whole era where Metroid fans were just in endless pain. And for years, Metroid fans just thought they were getting nothing. No sequel to the Prime games, no sequel to the 2D Metroid games. They just had no faith in anything for the series. But obviously we got Metroid Prime 4 announced. But as we know, Metroid Prime 4 is still in the Shadow Realm. So like things were kind of negative in the Metroid camp. But then out of nowhere, during the E3, we get this game revealed. And the way that they just casually said that, oh yeah, it's Metroid 5, oh yeah, it's Metroid Dread, that canceled game, is actually insane. And like the way that, just the premise of this game, Samus, she's now being hunted down by these killer robots. She's coming off of the events of Metroid Fusion. She's technically a fugitive now. Like, just the setup for this game is absolutely insane, and it's basically the conclusion to the OG Metroid saga, to where like Samus is basically tying up the last of her loose ends. It's crazy how much this game does. Ravenbeak is one of the coolest Nintendo villains. The Emmys are absolutely freaking terrifying. I died like 20 million times trying to play this game. Overall though, all I can say is that it's great. And yeah, James, the full game is great. I definitely would give it a recommend. It's hard. You will die like 20 million times, but it's fun. And yeah, Metroid is a series you really gotta sit down and get into, because the games can throw you for a loop. But this one especially, they cooked. They were on something else when they made this one. The credit does have to go a lot to Mercury's team, who made Samus Returns back on the 3DS. But I don't know what magic Nintendo put in that team, but they came out and made a banger. Gani says, what up, Nux? Playing some GTA 4. How you been doing? Doing great, Gani. Thank you for coming out to the stream, as always. But yeah, I don't have much more to say on Metroid Dread. I'd like ramble more about like the bosses and the story and all that, but you know what? I'm not even gonna. All you need to hear me say is go play the game for yourself, my friends. Go play it for yourself. It's great. Alright, it's time. So we have one more game left for Big 2021, and this one is this is probably the low point of 2021, so we're gonna have to confront a very, very dark game, y'all. Some of you can probably guess what it is. Some of you probably have no idea what I'm talking about, but oh man, we are going to be talking about a very, very dark game for me. Here it is. Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl. Oh, these games, bro. These games. I'm not gonna lie to y'all, these might just be the most offensive games for me in the entire Switch era. And I say that not lightly. Like, I think these might just be my most hated, the most hated game or games of the entire Switch era. I think these games are the lowest point of the Switch era, because you had such an easy job. You had one job, Nintendo. Remake Diamond and Pearl, bring over the platinum elements, make a great set of Pokemon games even better by keeping the improvements that they already had and adding even more improvements. But instead, we get a pair of remakes that bizarrely, for no reason, mostly take from Diamond and Pearl, don't keep the platinum elements, add a bunch of unnecessary Pokemon that you get throughout the journey for free, so it makes things easier in some ways, and then has like no interesting shakeups really to make the games feel fresh or interesting. And then on top of all of that, you have the dumb chibi art style once again returning, but it looks way worse than it did in Link's Awakening because Game Freak hired this new studio. What is their names? 𝗧𝗶𝗰, is that their names? But yeah, this new studio that just didn't feel like they were living up to what these games deserved for a remake. So yeah, these games are a mockery. They're not bad games objectively because since they're mostly based on Diamond and Pearl, they pretty much get the general gist and energy of those original games. But it's just what these games could have been, and how much they could have done to like really make them much better. That is just such wasted potential, and it hurts my soul. And why does it hurt me specifically? Because Gen 4 is my favorite gen of Pokemon. Pokemon Platinum is one of my favorite games of all time. It means so much to me. But these remakes, bro, they just don't do it justice. They don't do Gen 4 justice. And it makes me very angry. So yeah, that's all I'm going to say on Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl. I could sit here and rant about these games for hours on end, but I'm going to stop myself because I just don't want to. I just get sad thinking about these games. That, and if I let myself ramble, my voice is going to like tire out. So yeah, BDSP, they are certainly Pokemon games that exist. They're not objectively the worst Pokemon games, but they're probably my least favorite Pokemon games of all time. Of the mainline ones, of course. And if you like those games, no hate to you, but like for me, they just really offended me and make me the big sad. So that's 2021 done. I don't know if I'm missing any games. There's probably a whole bunch of games that I haven't talked about in terms of like the major ones, but yeah. So now we get into 2022. And this is another one where it feels like Nintendo is picking up the slack from some of the previous years, but there are also a few stinkers here. Now that I'm looking at the lineup, there are some weird games here, but there are some bangers. So we covered a few of them already. We talked about Splatoon 3 in the last stream. We talked about Bayonetta 3 in the last stream, so we don't need to cover that again, I think. And what else? Oh yeah, so yeah, we covered everything. So since I started off on such a negative note with the last one, let's go ahead and start on a high note. And let's go ahead and bring out the GOAT. Y'all already know. Y'all already know. Hang on. I gotta find a good art for it. Let's see. I'm trying to find a good art for it, but I can't find it. Where is it? Here it is. Alright. Yep, let's go ahead and get the GOAT. There he is. Kirby in the Forgotten Land. Kirby's first 3D game finally released. And man, oh man. Now that I'm thinking about it, I actually don't have too much to say about this game because here's the thing. I have a review for this game technically done. I have a review for this game in the pipeworks. I have a full script done. I have multiple audios for that review recorded. I just never finished editing up the last of the audio and never finished up the full review. And I'm thinking about doing it. So now that I'm sitting here thinking about it, I'm probably not going to say too much right here. But yeah, James basically is capturing my thoughts. The game is peak. No surprise from me. Kirby's first 3D game. It's so good to see the series jump into the third dimension. I don't know what else to really say. It's Kirby in the Forgotten Land. Like, everyone sings this game's praises. Like, even the casuals who, like, disrespected the Kirby series for years. Like, this game is so good, even they, like, hype up this game. That's how good it is. Like, even the biggest Kirby haters got turned around from this game, and it's crazy to see that. I'm also going to I'm going to go ahead and use this game to basically talk about the Kirby 30th anniversary, because that entire anniversary is like something that's going to be a core memory for the Switch era whenever I look back on it, because man, did how cook. I talked about it in some previous videos, but between like the Kirby Music Fest, which was very beautiful, between all the cool side games like Dream Buffet, we had Fighters 2 as well, and it was just like Kirby this gen was on another level, and Forgotten Land was just such a beautiful game to cap all that off. Like I said, I technically have a review out there ready potentially to release, but so I don't have too much more to say. But yeah, this game was just easily one of the Switch's best. I love it so much. Alright, what's next to bring up? Okay, so here's an interesting one to bring up. So, in parallel to Pokemon Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl, part of why those games were so weird and they weren't even handled by Game Freak themselves is because they were working on another project with Pokemon Legends Arceus. And this is a very weird game for me because this is a game I have not beaten yet, and I don't have my full thoughts on it. But with the very concept of this game, I didn't entirely hate it because this seemed to be a little more ambitious than Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl, and I like the idea of having a Pokemon game that takes place in the past, and a game specifically that focuses a little more on Arceus, because Arceus is a Pokemon that I always felt like could have been elaborated on when it came to his lore. But since I've never fully beaten this game, and from what I hear, this game still doesn't exactly do as much with Sinnoh as I would have liked. Like, these are still games that don't feel perfect in giving Sinnoh the justice that it deserves as a Pokemon region. Bring back Fat Pikachu. That's what Sword and Shield did, James, when they had Gigantamax Pikachu, when they had Big Boy Pikachu. They already did bring him back in this generation. But yeah, Legends Arceus, it's a game I can't speak too much more on, but I hear a lot of people give this game praise. Although it is obviously very flawed, because this is another Pokemon game where you can feel Game Freak could have just done more with it, man. It's definitely a game that felt like it was rushed out too fast. But little did we know what was coming, because releasing the same year as this game, I might as well go ahead and bring it up. Releasing the same year as this game, we would get, where is it? Here it is. Here's the icon. Alright. Because releasing the same year as this game, we would get the 9th generation of Pokemon. Pokemon Scarlet and Pokemon Violet. And oh man, these games, bro. These games. So I fought. So as I talked about in the last stream, you know, where I said, man, I wish we could go back to the when Let's Go was the most controversial game. So every Switch era Pokemon game had some form of weird controversy behind it, between Dexit, between Legends Arceus and how weird it was graphically, the Brilliant Diamond, Shining Pearl, that speaks for itself. Scarlet and Violet, we would have no idea what evils would be unleashed from this 9th generation, because the games looked very promising at first. They seemed to have a little more of an interesting graphical style than some of the previous games, but when we get the final games, we would get a game that in terms of general polish would almost put Pokemon on Sonic 06 levels. Like, I'm talking peak bad Sonic Team levels. That's how infamous Scarlet and Violet is. And here's the thing. I wouldn't say Scarlet and Violet is like a completely dysfunctional and non-functioning game, but it is bad to a point to where like it's inexcusable, because you'll have like Some people say that their save files corrupted. Like, you have people point out all sorts of crazy glitches. Me personally, in terms of my specific playthrough of these games, I didn't encounter too many. I didn't encounter too many crazy glitches, but I did see a few. Like during the gym battle against Larry specifically, I remember one of my Pokemon fell through the floor. That's like the main glitch I remember. But I didn't really see too many other glitches. But yeah, I can believe that a bunch of other people saw all sorts of other glitches. And yeah, James, these games are very infamous for their lack of polish. You can 100% tell that Game Freak rushed them out, and it led to a lot of bad press. So yeah, Scarlet and Violet are a pair of games that just did a lot of damage to Pokemon and its positive reception. Like, I don't think Pokemon fan discussion is ever going to be the same because of how bad these games turned out in terms of general polish. Now, in terms of the gameplay, in terms of how the games turned out, my thoughts are that I don't think they're horrible. Like, the polish, it didn't even really distract me from how I felt with the games, because honestly, these games kind of gave me a lot of fun moments. These are the games that really start trying to feel a little more interesting with the open design of Pokemon. Some of the Pokemon this gen I actually think are really cool, like the new Primate evolution, Annihilape. Is that its name? Annihilape? I think that's a really cool Pokemon. Nemona, I think she's a cool character, even though she's technically another rival that like leans a little too much on the friendly side, but I think she's an okay character. The music, the Team Star battle theme slaps, and the main thing that's going to stick out in my mind about this game, the main thing that I'm going to remember about this game is the finale, because the finale of this game has probably the craziest plot twist in Pokemon history. And I don't say that lightly. Like, Pokemon is a series that I think is pretty basic story-wise. Like, even Gen 5, which a lot of people praise as like the peak of Pokemon storytelling, I honestly don't think it's all that. This game's final story moments are genuinely insane. Like, the things that you find out in the finale are actually crazy. But yeah, so overall, my thoughts on Scarlet and Violet is, while I did have fun with the games, I can't deny that the lack of polish was very sad to see, and the way that this game just gave Pokemon a very bad rap to this very day was very sad to see. Like, I don't hate these games, but I do kind of look back on them very negatively, because it's just hard to not feel a little bitter about how these games could have turned out if they had a little more time in the oven. Alright, what's next up on the list here? Xenoblade Chronicles Free. Did I bring that up in the last stream? I don't know if I did, but that's a game that exists that I'm not going to put on screen, because once again, it's another game I didn't play crazy like that. But I hear that it was a decent end to the Xenoblade Chronicles trilogy, and I think that's really cool. I also hear this one had some cool characters, and it had yet another cat girl, which I don't know what it is with Xenoblade games and these cat girl characters. Like, is there something I need to know about over there in Monolith? But yeah, other than that, I hear Xenoblade Chronicles 3 was a good game, and I look forward to play it eventually on my backlog. But there is one thing I want to bring up. It's a spoiler, so I'm not sure if I can bring it up in full. But I do want to bring up one thing about this game, which is that it spawned one of the craziest images in Nintendo history. I don't know if you even know what I'm talking about, James, but there's a specific image from the ending of this game that genuinely might be one of the most craziest things from a Nintendo game ever, in terms of like a story revelation. I want to talk about it, but apparently it's like a big spoiler. So I don't know if I should bring it up casually like that. But all I'll say is that it is genuinely one of the most craziest things. And it involves our boy Rex. And Pyra. And Mithra. And Nia. That's all I'm gonna say. If you know, you know. If you know, you know. That's all I'm gonna say. I love you and all you guys. Oh my goodness. Alright, what's next to talk about? Okay, so let's get to another downer game before I get to another positive one. Well, I don't even know if I would say that this is a downer game. It's certainly a game that exists. Alright, here it is. Nintendo Switch Sports. So this is a very interesting game because this is a game that tries to revive the Wii Sports brand, like the Wii, those Wii games and stuff like that. It's a game that people were very excited for at first because there was a lot of demand to bring back this type of Nintendo game. But then we see these ugly Xbox avatar looking at characters. And what? Where did the Mii's go? Like replacing the Mii's with whatever this was had to be like one of the worst decisions ever. And I'm not even like the biggest defender of the Mii's. I'm not even crazy about the Mii's like that. And even I think it was stupid to just randomly replace them with whoever the heck these people are. And besides that fact, the location didn't feel as interesting as Wuhu Island. Wuhu Island was a living, breathing place. The place that this game took place in, I don't even remember its name. And then on top of that, this is yet another game where they charge a full $60 for it. And it just does not have much content, and it relies on the dumb free update model. This is like a game that is like what were they thinking with so many decisions with it? I played a bit of this game, but I just didn't play enough to where I can say like I hate it per se. Like it seems like a very competently made game, but just everything around this game just feels like it could have been way better. Like they should have had way more sports. They didn't need updates to add something as simple as dang golf. Like what? Why do you need time to add golf? Like legit, what was the budget for this game? This feels like a game that they kind of just like threw out there to die. And nah, James, nah. This is not what I would say is the worst free update game, because there's a game coming up that I have some very choice words for. There is a game coming up that's gonna give this one a run for its money. Let me tell you something. But this game certainly was a strong contender for one of the worst free update games. I'll tell you that much. But yeah, I don't know what were they cooking with Switch ports. I don't know. And what sucks is that this game sold well. This game sold insanely well somehow. It goes to show that people really were missing that Wii Sports energy. So the game still sold well, despite how lacking in content it was, despite the weird execution with the sports mates or whatever the heck they're called. Like, it sold well, so it might get a sequel. Hopefully, if it does get a sequel, it's much better. It has a cooler location like Wuhu Island. They put the Mii's back at the forefront. They have more content. Those are the things that I think they need to do to make a better installment next time. But otherwise, I got nothing more to say about this game. Alright, so before I get to the other free update model game that I think puts this one the freaking shame, I gotta bring up one more game that I think was a cool highlight. So let's see. Here it is. So Mario plus Rabbids Sparks of Hope. Man, oh man, this game. This game is the most unexpectedly hard Mario game of all time. There is no reason they needed to go hard on this game. So the sequel to the Rabbids, I thought it was kind of weird that they were doing another Mario Rabbids game. That always kind of felt weird to me, like, do we need another Mario Rabbids game? But from the jump, this one looked a little cooler because it's Galaxy inspired, and Galaxy is one of the GOAT Mario games, so that already gave it a huge edge. Rabbit Rosalina is like this parody of regular Rosalina, to where she's like lazy and stuff, and I think that's kind of funny actually. But this one has much more unique, interesting locations, to where the first one used the basic Mario locations, but this one goes to much more interesting environments now, and has some planet traveling, which I think is cool. But then on top of that, it has unexpectedly one of the craziest Mario stories for no reason. No reason. Like, the characters in this actually go through some interesting arcs. There's actually some really cool cutscenes and action moments. And the twist of this game, which it's not too big a spoiler, like, this is a spoiler for the game for anyone who wants to play, but I gotta spoil it. See, knowing that the villain is this crazy, like, wizard in the background, and you're thinking, oh, that's just some random wizard. Like, it's cool that I will say this. It's great that we get yet another game where Bowser teams up with Mario and we get an original villain at a time where it felt like Mario RPGs were freaking dead, and it felt like every game had Bowser as the villain. It was great to get another game with an original villain. But on top of that, we go back to that 1,000-year door energy, where we find out that the villain is a freaking possessed evil Rosalina. Like, what? Rosalina was the villain? How did we win? How on earth did Mario & Co. get out of that one? I don't even know. But yeah, very insane. And then the DLC where Rayman came in, they actually brought in Rayman instead of these dumb rabbits. We finally get another game with Rayman in it. Like, for no reason, they cooked with this game. I don't know what it was that made them cook so hard for a Mario and Rabbids crossover, but they did. And yeah, an evil Rosalina just works because she already has, like, the roots, the seeds and roots to be a bad guy. She literally has a very tragic backstory. She easily could have been, like, super evil and, like, used Luminous for, like, horrible purposes. So you can see those seeds of her going dark. I do wish it kind of leaned more into some of that, mixing some of her backstory with it. But what we got still was really cool. So yeah, Mario plus Rabbids Sparks of Hope is an unexpectedly hard Mario game. It has no right to go as hard as it does for another game with these goofy rabbits. Alright, y'all, but before we get into our next set of Nintendo Switch 2 games, we got a few more to go through, but we're almost at the end here, folks. We're almost at the end here. We got one game that I gotta bring up that is easily probably one of the darkest games in the Nintendo Switch era. This is a game that, oh man, that I have some words for. Let me see if I can find some art for it. Here we go. Alright. Oh man. Mario Strikers Battle League. This game might just be... I talk about how Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl are like my least favorite games on Switch. But these games might just be even more so like the most painful games on Switch. Because when this was first revealed, I was hype. Everyone was hype. Everyone was hyped for this game. Everyone was so hyped to see that Mario Strikers was back. But then we start seeing, you know, that this game doesn't really have much content. Like, some of the arenas look cool, but they mostly seem like variants of the same one arena. Surely we're going to get more arenas, and surely there's more to this game than just the surface level Strikers basic gameplay, right? No, because when we see the final roster, not only is it pitiful at launch, but Daisy, a character who basically went on to become the mascot of Strikers in a way, is not there day one. What happened? What happened? How did they fumble Strikers this hard? Like, y'all know me. I've kind of given some leniency to these Mario Sports games and their free update shenanigans, but with this specific one and how much it was missing, day one, horrible. Horrible. And yeah, it's another game with playable Pauline, and she looks great in the Strikers gear, so that's cool, James. It's just that, like, it took so long to get Pauline because we didn't even have Daisy at launch. We had to wait for Daisy, so we had to wait even longer for Pauline. It took so long for this game to finish its updates for no reason, and I don't think you need to be doing that with a Strikers game. I don't know what it was with this specific game where Nintendo was, like, just slowly rolling out content to the point to where, like, this game just had nothing to talk about. And even its story mode, you can finish so fast that, like, you can't even, like, remember what happened in the game. It is just generally one of the most basic, boring Mario games ever. They take away a lot of the edgier and cooler animations from the older Strikers games. They replace the Kremlin goalies with frickin' Boom Boom, as if we don't see him enough. Like, this game is just a mockery to the first two Strikers games, in which the first Strikers game didn't have much content either, but it still had that edge. And yeah, they dropped the ball. I mean, you're not wrong, but but yeah, I don't know what it was about Strikers that made them fumble so hard. But yeah, that's pretty much all I gotta say on that one. Alright, so with that, that's pretty much it for 2022. It was a year with definitely some good games, but a lot of there were a lot of moments where Nintendo kind of fumbled the ball. So that wasn't exactly a perfect year as some of the previous ones, but yeah. But now we get into 2023. 2023. This is an interesting year because it felt like Nintendo was on a whole different level this year. Oh my goodness. We have too many doggone games to talk about this year. Thankfully, we got everybody 1-2 Switch out the way, so we don't have to talk about that garbage, thank goodness. But we have so many games to choose from that I don't even know where to start. I guess I'll go ahead and bring up this one, James, because I don't know when you're going to have to go. So I'm going to go ahead and bring up the one that you probably want to talk about. Where is it? Here it is. So yeah. Return to Dreamland Deluxe. Woo, buddy. I remember my live reaction to this like it was yesterday, man. I was thinking, you know, maybe they would do like maybe a Dream Collection 2 with Return to Dreamland with the 3DS games. Or maybe they'd remake one of the newer games, maybe, but I had no idea that they would actually just go back and remake Return to Dreamland alone and give us the Maglor mode and This is a game that I was skeptical about when it was first revealed, but the more they revealed about it, between like the new Maglor mode, the new abilities such as Sand Kirby and the Mecha Kirby, like the more they revealed about this game, the more I was just absolutely hyped. The one thing I don't like about Return to Dreamland Deluxe is, I'm sorry, I'm still not a fan of DDD's redesign. I just don't think it looks the best here, man. Man, I still prefer DDD's more Smash looking design, to be honest. And that's a rare time you'll see me say that I prefer the way Smash does something. But yeah, Return to Dreamland Deluxe was a great game. We get all sorts of new crazy lore tidbits in this game. The new abilities are fun. The side Maglor mode was fun and had an insane final boss. The changes are cool. The way that they updated Maglor in the True Arena was evil. Like, I got to that, James. I finally got to that, and I was like, what? What did they do? They didn't need to do all of that. But yeah. And then the mask, bro, the mask are insane. Like, the references in those masks are actually insane. So yeah, what a great port. Or a remake. I don't even, is this like, do we count this as a remake, remaster? I'd say a remake, I guess, since it does change the visual style quite a lot. Alright, what's next to talk about? Oh, we got a lot of options. Ooh, okay, how about, let's talk about WarioWare again. Oh wait, is this the one I haven't played? I don't think I've played this one. But yeah, WarioWare, he got another game on Switch, which was kind of surprising because I didn't think WarioWare was going to get another installment on Switch. And it basically builds on Get It Together. But I don't really have much to say about this game. I don't think I played it, and if I did, I don't remember much about it. They probably shouldn't have released this game when they did, because I think around this time they were still going crazy with like the other Mario stuff, and this game kind of got buried in the chaos. This game kind of got done a bit dirty. So yeah, that's all I really have to say about Move It. It seems like a game that appeals to those who especially like the motion control WarioWare games, but I don't really care. I haven't played all of those, so I don't really care for it. Alright, what's next? There's so many of these to talk about. Metroid Prime Remastered, that's one I'm not going to bring an image on screen for because it's just a remaster of Metroid Prime. But that's cool. It's cool that we got Metroid Prime back on Switch. And this is, what's really crazy about this one is it's a rare time when Nintendo, well, not a rare time I'd say, but it's a time where Nintendo actually priced the game fairly by not making it $60, which was beautiful. Thank you, Nintendo, for not trying to gouge our wallets to death for once. And yeah, it was a really great looking remaster too. It really does suck that it's like the rare exception, but to be honest, they kind of had to price it that because it's Metroid. It doesn't have as much brand power as Mario or Kirby or some of their other series. They kind of do have to price it a bit lower by default. So that's the real reason why it was a lower price. But man, do I wish they would price their games more fairly more often. Fire Emblem Engage. This is another game that I don't really have much to say on, but I do want to bring up them Joy-Con-chan. I do want to bring up them because, man, the controversy and the story around them is so funny. I remember it like it was yesterday. So one random day, the girl specifically, she leaked online and people were like, who is this fake looking protagonist? There's no way these two are the next Fire Emblem protagonists. And then lo and behold, we get more and more images and people are like, oh no, who is this Joy-Con-chan? Get her out of here. And she was getting cooked on Twitter. I remember how hard she was getting scorched on Twitter for her design for ages. And then we finally get the trailer for Engage and we find out, oh my goodness, she's real. That's so funny, bro. That was such a funny moment of the Switcher. The fact that they actually like got inspired by the Joy-Cons with their protagonist, but it came out in the most bizarre looking way possible. Like, they're not absolutely terrible, but I'm sorry, they look like some VTuber characters. At least that's what I feel. That's what I feel. No hate to people who like Allure, but yeah, she's definitely weird looking. Especially with like the two eyes. I feel like it would have worked better if what they did was like kind of like a highlight thing, like make it to where like her hair is blue, like, or red. I guess if you blue would be kind of redundant though, because like what Fire Emblem protagonist doesn't have blue hair at this point? But like, I don't know, they could have like made it like a highlight thing instead of like making the hair all weird and split like that. And it does. I don't think it even ties into the story. Does it? Like, apparently there was like supposed to be like a good and evil thing with why her hair is like that, but I don't think it really ties much into the story like that. So that's especially what makes it weird. But yeah, I look forward to when we see Allure in the next Smash Bros. Game, whether you like her or not. Maybe she will, or maybe it'll be the next protagonist when we get the next Fire Emblem protagonist. That's who will be in Smash Bros. But yeah, I don't hate Allure, but she's definitely. I think that her design could have been better, and his too. But yeah, the Captain America color scheme. Oh my goodness. Alright, what else we got here? Oh, so this is an interesting one that I'm not going to talk about too much because, again, another game I haven't played, but this is such a funny game that exists. So, Detective Pikachu Returns. This is such a bizarre game because the original Detective Pikachu was like such a nothing game that just kind of like existed for no reason. But people, like, because of the movie, that sub-series got a lot of hype from the movie, since it was like one of the first decent video game movies. So people were like, okay, we'll be open to a sequel. But then they wouldn't make a sequel for years and years on end. They would tease it and say that it exists, but we wouldn't see it for such a long time. The game finally releases, and people trash this game. Apparently this sequel was garbage. And I just think that is hilarious, especially with the fact that we never did get a sequel to the movie either. It's so weird how everything with Detective Pikachu ended up turning out. Like, why on earth did Game Freak decide that their first live-action big Pokemon movie was going to be based on a sub-series about a talking Pikachu that's detective? I will never know. Why that game they got a whole sequel and they thought it was going to be a big thing as it was, I don't know. But yeah. Is that Mewtwo up there? Yeah, which if you've watched the Detective Pikachu movie, James, you'll understand. You'll understand it if you've seen the movie. Which you should watch it. It's a good movie. The game? I don't know if I can recommend that. Alright. Yeah, I've basically gotten all the minor stuff out the way, so now we're basically on timing, James. We're about to go on a whole rampage of just bangers. And we're going to start this off with a remake that I'm pretty much not going to have too much to say on, which is... It's beautiful. Every time I see this image, like, I have to, like, pause and be like, oh, it's so beautiful. HD Geno. HD Geno. I actually lived to see HD Geno. Bro, I still remember when I was watching Newgrounds Sprite movies and I'd see Geno performing the most insane combos of in my life on people for no reason, because people just like the character that much. And I was just so inspired by that in the Geno for Smash campaign that I went and played the game back in the day. And then eventually I was like, okay, I'm all for Geno in Mario RPG. But of course, because this game has rights split between Nintendo and Square Enix, it just felt like a pipe dream that they would ever acknowledge it again. But then we started hearing these rumors that, oh, they're going to do it. They're going to actually revisit Mario RPG, and we're all doubtful because, of course, it's been years since they've acknowledged this game. But lo and behold, they did it. They actually did it. We got a remake of this game, and it looks amazing. The way Mario looks is weird. It's kind of weird how small looking he looks. But besides that, like, this game genuinely looks amazing. Like, the updated cutscenes are great. The music, oh my goodness, the music. There are actually people that try to say the remixes are bad, and those people are deaf. I'm sorry, those people are straight up deaf, because the remade soundtrack is genuinely amazing. It is insane. insanely good. It is legit one of the greatest soundtracks in the Mario franchise. In gaming, I would almost argue. The remake's music is freaking amazing. And yeah, this Mario has such gremlin energy. Yeah, look at him. This is like peak gremlin Mario, but yeah. The Mario RPG remake is easily one of my favorite experiences on Switch. They just did it so much justice, man. The only thing that I don't look as highly on with the remake is some of the translation changes. Like, I miss the dumb jokes that were in the original, like the freaking Bruce Lee reference. That was hilarious. And some of the names I'm not used to, but other than that, the remake is great. Next up, we got another GOAT incoming. Let's bring it in, y'all. I wish I had like a full. Here we go. There it is. Pikmin 4. The journey to finally seeing this game was a long and painful one. James, you fought James. Nah, we'll get to that boy later. We'll get to that one later. But yeah, Pikmin 4. The journey, let me tell you, the journey to getting this game was pain and agony. It was pain and agony to finally seeing Pikmin 4, but man, was it worth it, because what an amazing game. What a great game. It really does feel like it finally polishes up the Pikmin formula at its best. It does the caves a lot better, which I definitely I can understand the problems with the caves in Pikmin 2, but this game definitely cleared up a lot of those problems. It brings back all the Pikmin types in some form, although the blues don't get less to do and feel a little redundant with like 𝗧𝗍𝗃 and some of the capabilities he has, which is the Pikmin dog. The Pikmin dog, which whenever I hear 𝗧𝗍𝗃's name, I think about that 𝗧𝗍𝗃 song, the meme song. That's all I can think about when I see 𝗧𝗍𝗃. But yeah, Pikmin 4 is an amazing game. I 1000% recommend it. Its gameplay might not be for everyone, but I do think this one especially is like one of the most accessible games. So really, you can definitely get into it if you're new to the series. But one big negative thing about this game, I'd say, is there is a little bit of debate on whether or not this is like a reboot, and whether they need it to like be weird with the story, when like the Pikmin series had a pretty consistent story going from 1 to 3. Like, this one almost feels like a weird soft reboot in a way, and that's like a very controversial thing with it in terms of like what it did to the story. But other than that, the game is great. And yeah, Arlo's screaming, yeah. I can still hear Arlo scream to this very day. But yeah, Pikmin 4 is genuinely like one of the best Switch games. It's amazing. I'd probably put it in my top 10. I don't know where it'd go in my top 10, but it'd be in there, I think. At least I think. And wait, is this AI art? I'm realizing something. Is this AI art? I have to like double check. I thought this was like a full poster. I think it's the official full poster. Is it? I'm pretty sure this is the poster. I thought it was. Is it not the full poster? I wasn't even really looking like that. Yeah, I can't tell. Well, if it's AR art, just focus on like the middle part, because the middle part is the official art. But like, I don't know if the stuff surrounding it was like actual Pikmin 4 stuff. I just plucked a random image. So if it's AR art, I apologize for that. Just ignore that. But if not, then yeah. Yeah, I can't tell either, James. Man, the damage that AI art did to like search engines is like ridiculous. But since you brought it up, James, let's go ahead and bring him in here. Let's go ahead and get it. But yeah, let's go ahead and get it over with since you brought it up, James. And I'm not even really going to have much to say on it. Mario Wonder. The game that brought some life back into the mainline games, at least the 2D ones. The 3D ones, they always had life and were kind of cooking. But with this one, this game just has so much life in it. I love how every level doesn't feel the same at all. Every level has some interesting gimmick that makes it extremely memorable and fun. I love that we finally get playable Daisy in a mainline game. That's extremely cool. I love how we have playable Yoshi and Nabbit, which that is a flaw because I do hate how they are forced to be easy mode. Like, I think it would be cool if they had an option to where you could play as them normally. But besides that, like, this is a near perfect game. The music, the music is great. I love the Castle Bowser theme, that one theme in the Fungi Mines. I think that's the name of it. The Fungi Mines theme is a banger. I love the references that this game makes. The freaking Metal Mario power, bro. And just the power-ups in general, like the Bubble Flower is fun to use. The Rock Mushroom is fun to use. The Elephant, not exactly my favorite power, but it was fun to use when it was available. Like, genuinely one of the greatest Mario games. Literally, its only flaw, right, James? Literally, its only flaw, its one and only flaw, the thing that prevents it from being an S tier game. I put it on an S tier on my tier list, but I would knock it down to A for this one thing. The bosses. How did they fumble the bosses so bad, bro? I just don't get it. I really don't get it. And literally all they had to do was at least use the Koopalings. Like, I know the Koopalings got a lot of hate after what happened with how overused they became in the new Super Mario Bros. Era, but literally this is the one game where using the Koopalings actually could have been insanely cool. Because the Wonder Flower could have given them some crazy powers. Like it gave Bowser Jr. some crazy powers in boss fights. But no, this game just didn't even try to have bosses. And that's easily the most baffling thing about it. But besides that, besides how horribly this game handled its bosses, everything else is fire. Everything else was on point. The Flower Kingdom is an amazing kingdom. Florian is a cool little guy. I like that this game actually has some story arcs, like trying to save the Poplins from the mines, the flowers talking to you and having like some of the most hilarious dialogue for no reason. Bowser just absolutely losing his mind during the final battle. Just an absolute roller coaster of a Mario game. Oh yeah, and screw those final levels for hurting my hands and making me experience nothing but pain. Great final levels, but some of them hurt me. That's all I'll say on those. Alright, what do we got left for 2023? I feel like we've almost covered everything. I have Pikmin 1 plus 2, but I don't really need to put an image up for those, because those are just like ports. It's cool that Pikmin got all its games on Switch, that's cool, but yeah. That gets into the big highlight game of 2023. So now, we're at the big highlight game of 2023. Here we go. Alright. The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, aka Breath of the Wild 2. And yeah, they were reaching some Lost levels of BS. James, nah, bruh. Lost levels is its own level. But let's have a little talk about Tears of the Kingdom. So, Tears of the Kingdom is an interesting game because it's felt like I've never given my thoughts on this game. You've all seen me talking about this game on my Twitter. I posted a bunch of clips talking about it. I discussed with some friends about it behind the scenes, but what are my thoughts on this game? Because here's the weird thing. This game feels like it feels like it has a lot of praise, but at the same time, it feels extremely divisive among people. Some people hate this game and act like it's the death of the Zelda franchise or something. Some people love this game and like think it's like one of the greatest games of all time, where does my opinion sit with Tears of the Kingdom? And here's my opinion on Tears of the Kingdom. And yeah, the memes from this game were great. The fact that you can make anything with the Ultra Hand and the Koroks and the ways that people were doing Koroks dirty was absolutely hilarious. But let's talk about the game. And here's my thoughts on it. My thoughts on that is that I think that this is a good game just because of how much it takes from Breath of the Wild. Like, the fact that this game has Breath of the Wild as a template is just going to make it a good game by default. Like, if you don't like Breath of the Wild already, I can understand that. But I just don't really see how you can say this is a bad game when it pretty much carries a lot of what makes the Breath of the Wild games so good in the first place. And it even improves upon some things. However, while the new mechanics of this game are insanely fun, jumping from the Sky Islands is insanely fun, and exploring the depths was insanely fun, and I do think this game does a few better things in terms of story, there's a lot of things that I think that this game just could have done better for how long that this game took. Like, this game took so long to come out that I really expected a bit more from the story. I expected to have a little less disjointed storytelling. I expected the Sky Islands to be much more in-depth than they actually ended up being, because the Sky Islands were basically kinda empty feeling, kinda dead feeling. Besides like that tutorial area, the Sky Islands basically amounted to nothing, which is bizarre because the Sky was the big promotion of the game. The real highlight of the game, if anything, is the freaking deaths. Like, why the heck they didn't advertise the deaths instead of the Sky, I will never understand. But yeah, my thoughts on Tears of the Kingdom is that I look at this game the same way that I look at Super Mario Galaxy and Super Mario Galaxy 2. Mario Galaxy is the game that I ultimately consider better because it just was such a fresh and unique experience, a new experience that I think did it first and just did it right the first time and just felt much more exciting. While Galaxy 2 is a game that, while technically better than Galaxy 1 because of how much it improves from the original Galaxy game, falls short in a lot of areas that and wastes a lot of potential that a Galaxy sequel could have had. And that's how I feel with Tears of the Kingdom. It's a game that I don't even think is remotely bad. I couldn't even dream of calling this a bad game. I think people just straight up trying to say this is a bad game and that it puts Zelda on a bad path is just wrong. But I understand why a lot of people were disappointed with this game, and I understand why it has such the divisive reputation that it does. Because I do feel like it was disappointing in a lot of areas and could have done some things much better for how much development time went into this game. Basically, I look at Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom the same way as I do Galaxy and Galaxy 2. They're both two great games, but one just feels a lot more fresher than the other and feels a lot more inspired than the other. That's how I look at the Breath of the Wild duology, if you will, which technically is a trilogy if you count Age of Calamity, but it is what it is. So yeah, those are my thoughts on Tears of the Kingdom. Not a remotely bad game, but it is a game that did disappoint me in some ways, and a game that I can understand why people have a lot of problems with it. Ultimately, I still think it's a great game because of how much it pretty much builds and continues off from the Breath of the Wild formula, but I can understand why the game is just so divisive, because it doesn't improve enough of the flaws of Breath of the Wild to make it feel like this huge leap, to make it feel like this definitive version of that formula. Like, if you hate the weapon breaking, if anything, this game is worse with a dang decay. But yeah, I could never say this game is a bad game because it honestly gave me some of my favorite memories in gaming. Alright. Now that my thoughts on Tears of the Kingdom are out there, I look forward to people absolutely trying to stop me out for that, but it is what it is. Alright. So with that, 2023 is done. A year with a lot of fire. A lot more fire than 2022. Still the occasional like weird game that didn't exactly live up to the hype. Like you got Everybody 1-2 Switch, like what were they cooking? Detective Pikachu Returns, what were they cooking? But the rest of the year, pretty solid for 2023. At least in terms of its major games. And there's a lot of smaller games that I ain't even bring up that I could have gone into, but I just decided not to. So yeah, with that, that puts us at our last year for the Nintendo Switch era, which is big man 2024. This is pretty much the most recent year, and honestly, I'm not gonna really have as much to say about this year now that I'm really looking at it, because like a lot of these games I've kind of just put my thoughts out there already. So where do I even start? A lot of games that I could sit here and talk about. Let's start with this bad boy here. So Mario Party Jamboree. So as I talked about it with the previous Mario Party games, Mario Party on Switch, it started out really rocky with Super Mario Party, because it was getting us back to the traditional gameplay of Mario Party, but the game felt like it was lacking content and was very flawed in a lot of game design decisions. Mario Party Superstars was getting us back on the right track, but again, it felt like it just could have had a little bit more. And then with Mario Party Jamboree, it finally feels like they got everything right. The good online, the decent amount of content. They brought back retro boards with a whole bunch of cool new boards. The mini games were on point again. We had a great character roster. It just felt like this was the game that finally understood Mario Party again, and it just made it really fun. Me and my brothers have played this game. I played this game with friends online, and we've just gotten to the most absolute BS moments ever. Like the amount of times that we've filled like entire like rows of boards with traps and stolen stars from each other in a row is absolutely disgusting. Like if y'all saw the evil strategies that I pull in this game, you would absolutely detest me. You don't want to play Mario Party Jamboree with me. Let's just put it that way. I figured out quite some evil strategies while playing this game. But yeah, I don't really have too much more to really say about Mario Party Jamboree other than that it's a great game. Easily like one of my favorites from Switch, because I have so many memories from this game where I'm just doing like the most evil things possible. I will say that again, this is another game that's not exactly perfect, because the Jamboree Buddy minigames, they do feel like they go on a bit long. As cool as they are, and as neat as it is that they are themed to different Mario characters, it does feel like they go a bit too long, and it does feel like the game could do certain things to make the game feel a bit faster in its pacing. But other than that, great game. Alright, what's next we got here? This is another one where I'm not going to really bring it up in full, but screw it, why not? This is a game that exists. I'm going to point out that this game exists for one reason and one reason alone. There he is, y'all. Pit, a rare Pit cameo. This is basically the successor to the, what are those games? The NES Remix games? This is like a successor to those. And literally the only reason I remember that this game exists is it gave us our rare 2-second Pit cameo. So that's it. That's all I wanted to acknowledge this game for. One day, man, one day we'll get that comeback to Kid Icarus. All right, I'm kind of, you know what? Why don't we get more divisive Zelda-ness out there and talk about Zelda Echoes of Wisdom. So this is a game that I this is a game where I haven't fully finished it yet, but I think it's a neat and fun game from as much as I've played of it so far. I think it's a pretty cool game. I think it's cool that Zelda finally got to be the protagonist of her own game, but it is basically another chibi art style Zelda game, and I hope this isn't like the standard for 2D Zelda, all the 2D Zeldas in the future, because I do kind of miss like the more stylized games like Minish Cap. That's peak 2D Zelda right there. But I don't entirely hate all the things that this game was trying to do. And yeah, the memes with Zelda throwing a dang doggone chair was absolutely hilarious. The fact that the way Zelda progresses through this game is summoning actual random BS out of nowhere is hilarious. It's a very funny game because you do the stupidest stuff to progress. But really, I do kind of get the logic behind that, because I do think it makes sense that Zelda would rely more on the big brain strategies and doing the random BS than Link, who obviously fights his way through stuff. But yeah, pretty cool game. And yeah, some people were just always gonna be against this game, to put it lightly. Some people are just not ready for this game. But I think it's cool Zelda finally got her solo game that isn't the freaking CDI games that we don't talk about. But yeah. Also, apparently this game had some crazy lore revelations at the end, but I don't think I've seen that yet. So maybe I'll see that and I'll have more interesting thoughts on the game in hindsight. But yeah, that's pretty much all I got to say about it now. You can tell I'm losing energy, y'all. We gotta brute force for these last bit of games. While we're talking about finally giving a solo game to the gal, I guess that would be a good transition for this next one, huh? Which is where is the dang image? Here we go. Which is boom, Princess Peach Showtime. And this is one where I'm not gonna have much to say because I haven't played the game yet, but I think it's neat. Peach finally got another game that isn't Super Princess Peach. I think that's cool, but I don't have too many thoughts on it yet because I haven't played the game yet. I hear the finale of this game is absolutely insane. I hear specifically the finale of this game is absolutely insane for no reason. I don't know what the deal with that is, but I hope it lives up to it when I eventually get to this game. I do like a lot of the energy of this game, though. I like it. Peach gets her own unique partner, gets her own adventure again, gets her own villain, basically, with the villain named Grape. I think that's interesting. But yeah, if we thought it was Super Princess Peach 2, yeah. I do think it would have been kind of cool if they did like a successor to Super Princess Peach with like the emotion powers. But I kind of understand why not, because the emotion powers did seem kind of tacky and weird, so I can understand why not build off that. But I do kind of wish she kind of got her own weird traditional little platformer again instead of what this ended up being more so, which was a whole slew of random gameplay styles. Another game that I'll briefly mention but not bring up is Endless Ocean of Luminous. I don't know anything about the Endless Ocean series, absolutely nothing. I find it bizarre that this is a series of all series Nintendo chose to bring back. I don't know what the deal with Endless Ocean is, but again, congrats to the two fans who got that. And speaking of niche Nintendo series, okay, so this is actually something I do want to talk about, because man, was this a crazy day in Nintendo history. So y'all remember this mofo? Y'all remember him? So I remember, it was one random morning. I wake up, I look on Nintendo's account, and I see this video that literally is just titled Emio. I open it up, and I'm like, what on earth is that? What is that? And I'm like, what is that? Like, all you see is the rating, which is like rated M, and it's like rated M for a Nintendo game? What is going on here? And you see the words Emio similarly, and then you see this absolute Five Nights at Freddy's Slenderman looking monster guy just standing there, eerily, menacingly. And he dips. And that's the end of the video. And everyone was speculating for days about this, I think it was. And we were just like, what was that? That was like one of the most funniest days of the Nintendo Switch era. I'll always remember that. And we were all speculating, like, was this going to be some sort of new horror IP that Nintendo was going to do? Were they going to bring back something like Eternal Darkness? Unfortunately, it would basically just amount to a new Famicom detective game. And I say unfortunately, but obviously it's fortunate for those who like those games. But it just kind of felt unfortunate in the fact that all this amounted to was a visual novel game, which no hate the visual novel games, but it is kind of weird that they did this crazy hype campaign for this insanely creepy character just to end up promoting a Famicom Detective Club game. That just felt very weird, but it's probably the most Nintendo thing that they would do. So yeah, I almost want to actually play this game just because of how insane that teaser was. I do actually want to eventually play this game just to understand if that teaser was like really being overdramatic or if the actual final game is interesting. But yeah, what an interesting part of the Nintendo Switch era, that's all I'll say. Let's see, what else do I have here? Okay. The Mario vs. Donkey Kong remake. I don't have much to say on this one. I think it's cool that they brought back the original for a remake. I think that's insanely cool. And I've never been crazy for the original, and especially not this remake either. But I think this remake was cool because they added some new worlds. The gameplay felt a lot more refined, and it felt like you could die less to less dumb BS. And yeah, I think it's cool we got another game that like portrayed that classic rivalry between Mario versus Donkey Kong, especially after the Mario movie, and how it kind of like emphasized the rivalry. Because it has been fading a lot since we've seen Mario work with Donkey Kong more and more, but it was cool we got a game that like really reminded us of how it was. And it wasn't a game with those dang minis, so that was a relief. Should have been Miniland Mayhem. It was my first Mario vs. Donkey Kong game. Yeah, I'm just not crazy about the minis, James. I have no love for those mofos. I'm sorry. The only good thing I have to say about those games is Pauline is in them. Luigi's Mansion 2 HD is another game that I'm going to shout out, but I'm not going to put on screen because, man, Luigi's Mansion 2. Is that a game that is the Mario game of all time for me? Because it's not a game that I think is bad. And I'd almost be willing to say it's good. It's just a game that was really disappointing for me, man. And I don't think the HD version does much to fix that, when I feel like it really could have. But now, whoo! Now. Let's have a little talk about Paper Mario the 1000-Year Door remake. Man, oh man. Paper Mario the 1000-Year Door remake might genuinely be one of my favorite games of all time. It is what I would almost consider a perfect video game. Like, I already liked the original game, the 1000-Year Door. I already thought it was a great game. But I think this version is so good because it not only fixes a lot of the flaws with the original, but the new music is great, and just the new visuals and art direction is just amazing. Like, it is amazing that they could make a game this good after how much garbage and mediocrity we dealt with from the Paper Mario series since Sticker Star. It is genuinely insane that the team 180, and I think a part of it is that the original director came back and like they finally lifted some restrictions and actually let unique characters exist again. Like, man, I really hope the next Paper Mario game uses this game as the template. Please, please do. Ignore Sticker Star, ignore Color Splash, maybe take the world design elements from Origami King, but that's all you need. This is the template right here. This is Paper Mario. I love this game so freaking much, man. I literally had like a period to where I was just sitting there playing this game, just having fun. And the new super bosses, while I didn't make it to those super bosses because I knew good and well that if I tried to fight them, I'd get bulldozed. But I saw the new super bosses, and not only does the new music slap for them, but like I think they're insanely cool choices for super bosses too. So yeah, not much more I have to say about this. But yeah, and yeah, James, I can attest to that. I was also screaming when I saw this. Oh snap! I think that's almost everything for 2024. So yeah, we're pretty much at the end here. That leaves one game left, and unfortunately, this is yet another game that I can't say too much more on yet because I haven't finished it. Man, I feel like such a fraud. There are too many Switch games I just have not finished. But yeah, I'm gonna get to this game eventually, and when I do, best believe I will be posting my thoughts. If not in a full video, in a like review post for sure. Because I do want to eventually get to this game and like beat it, but I've just been balancing out so much other stuff. But yeah, Mario and Luigi came back from the dead. Mario RPGs came back in full. They're not garbage anymore. They're actually great. And this game especially I have a lot of respect for because it brings back actually original characters, an actual unique location. I hear it has actual unique villains. And I hear the gameplay is just pretty faithful to the original games. So yeah, I'm very excited to play this game. I've heard some divisive thoughts on it, but for the most part, I've heard nothing but good things. And when I do play it, I'll be ready to feast on it. But for now, I unfortunately cannot add much more other than that. It's good that it saved the Mario RPGs. And with that, we are done with at least all the games I have on my list. I don't think I missed anything from previous years. One I forgot to mention was Pokken Tournament. Pokken Tournament is one that I didn't mention, I think. But that was just basically a port of the original Wii U game, and I don't have too much more to say on that. I think Pokken was a pretty cool game. But yeah, with that, we've covered the entire Nintendo Switch era. This took about as long as the first stream, so it was a two-parter, but hey, we got through everything. The only games we didn't cover were obviously the new ones, Donkey Kong Country Returns HD, which I basically place on the same tier as the original, even though a lot of people clown on that port. They think it's a very low effort port, which it is, but it's not absolutely terrible. And then we got Xenoblade X, which I apparently that's leaking right now. Some people already have their hands on a copy, which if they do, that's crazy. But yeah, I don't have too much. We're done. We're pretty much done. So what are my overall thoughts on the Nintendo Switch era? It was an era with a lot of ups and downs. It was an era with a lot of amazing games that are easily some of my favorite games of all time. But it is also an era with a lot of downs. A lot of games where they definitely could have done things better. But overall, I'm going to look back on the Nintendo Switch era with a lot of fondness because this is the era that just made it Nintendo be taken seriously again. It made them like just a genuinely fun video game company to follow again. And I'm always going to have a lot of respect for this era because of that. Was it a perfect era? No, there's so many things they could have handled better. Between how games got weaker over time, like games showed the system's age over time, and frame rate issues with like games like Age of Calamity, the cloud ports, the annoying pricing for games, the controversies. Like there's definitely stuff about this era that just could have been handled better for sure. but we got a lot of amazing video games out of it. You just can't deny that. And that's why I'm always going to look back on the Nintendo Switch era with a lot of fondness. So yeah, with that, we've pretty much covered everything. So James, do you have any last thoughts on the Switch era you want to give? The one thing I will say is that it is sad that we never got Metroid Prime 4 by the end of this generation. At this point, Metroid Prime 4 is a doggone Switch 2 thing. Like, that's gonna be something that starts the Switch 2 generation. We're gonna be at a point where we associate that with the Switch 2 gen much more than the Switch generation, which is sad because literally that game was revealed at the start of this generation. That's like the biggest like thing that like bothers, that kind of feels like a very big loose end with the Switch era. But other than that, I will look on this era back with a lot of fondness. Not a perfect era, as I ranted about throughout this video. It had a lot of flaws, but lots of great moments that I will look back on with a lot of fondness. And yeah, James, I have a lot of appreciation for it. So thank you for coming out, James. I owe you a lot because I think you were like basically the only person with me this time. Which I don't blame you. This is a very kind of short notice thing. I didn't even plan to make this a two-parter, but I kind of had to because we just had so many games to get through and get my thoughts out on. But now that I've covered all the major games, we're pretty much done for this part. And next time, maybe we'll be doing a prediction stream for the Switch 2 Direct. Maybe not. We'll see what happens. Alright, everyone. This has been 𝗧𝗏𝗀𝗃𝗀𝗃, and I'm out. Peace.